from nobody.
Jaylen Brown.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome in to Celtics Postgame Live. I am your host, Robbie Tan. I am with my co-host, Seamus Zaralingo, a.k.a. Celtics Every Day, alongside Ian Angelo, who will be joining us very shortly. After a 108-95 Game 6 Celtics win, Jason Tatum stole the show, 46 points out of JT tonight. The Celtics extended the series to Game 7, which we played back in Boston on Sunday at 3:30 at the TD Garden. We'll have you covered post-game live right here. Seamus, the Celtics came out hot. Started off with a 15-6 lead. Bucks came back, responded, went up by 5, and then it was all Celtics from there. Boston really didn't give up the lead. Milwaukee led 24-23, and then it was Marcus Smart who made that run to put it 24-25, and then it was all Celtics from there. Celtics led by as many as 18 points tonight. Like I said, Jason Tatum had it going with 46 points, but Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart tallied off some big performances. Jaylen Brown, 22. Marcus Smart, 21. As like I said, Celtics extend this to 7 games. Seamus, we talked about it in the last post game. This is what we expected from the Celtics coming into this Game 6. This bend, don't break mentality that they've held now for about 55 games of the second half of the season and since the turn of the new year. And they showed us that yet again. You know, what did you really see out of the Celtics team tonight that kind of just surprised you or didn't surprise you? Because we kind of on here last night or 2 nights ago kind of saying this is what we expected.
We're going to Game 7, baby. Game 7. Let's go. I think we totally expected this the other night. If you go back and look at our post game, we both said that we expect the Celtics and respond in Game 6 and force a Game 7 at the TD Garden. And that's exactly what they did tonight. Jason Tatum, scorching hot performance from Jason Tatum. 46 points tonight, along with, you mentioned, Brown and Marcus Smart with huge performances as well. Derek White, pretty big off the bench. Daniel Tice gave the Celtics big minutes off the bench as well in the absence of Robert Williams. And tonight, this game really could not have played out any better for the Celtics, especially down the stretch when, yes, we talked about it, they received the whistle a little bit. They certainly received the whistle a little bit more than Milwaukee tonight at certain times. And down the stretch, the team was able to close out by rebounding the basketball, turning the ball over, creating turnover, and forcing Milwaukee into turnovers, and, of course, converting on the offensive end of the floor with Jason Tatum, with the ball moving around, and with guys finding open shots. And tonight's win was a resilient, best win of the season for the team, and somehow, some way, it is all of a sudden not the biggest game of the season anymore because Game 7 is on the way Sunday. It's going to be big at the Garden, and this could be for the title this year. This could be for the title because these could be the 2 best teams left in the NBA competing right now, and this Game 7 could legitimately be for the NBA title on Sunday, and what a game from the Boston Celtics tonight.
Yes, a phenomenal game from the Celtics. And like you said, not the biggest game of the year anymore. We knew, the Celtics knew that coming in, they had to take this game at one game at a time, and they did that tonight. Huge win on the road. But now the focus has shifted to Game 7. Neither team has won 2 games consecutively in this series. Bucks won Game 1, and it was back and forth ever since. Both home teams 1 and 2 in this series, so it's been a road dominant performance out of both squads here. But this is where home court, this is where not dodging the nets really plays a factor, because at the end of the day, whatever your record at home is, it's easier to play at home in a Game 7 than on the road, especially at the TD Garden, where the Celtics, I believe, are 26-8 all time at the TD Garden in Game 7s, where the Bucks are 3-8 in Game 7. Or I'm sorry, 26-8 just in Game 7s alone. But something I quickly want to talk about here, or not quickly, I want to talk about this, is Jason Tatum. This to me was, and I said this last night or 2 nights ago. It feels like kind of every couple years where the championship team falls down 3-2, whether it's Giannis, LeBron, that player has that big game 6 where they even the series, and you look back at that game 6 and you say that was the game where you knew this team was going to take it all the way. It was Giannis last year. He had a huge game 6. He got a couple big ones down the stretch. But to me, this was the Jason Tatum legacy game. This was the biggest and best game of his entire career. Better than those 60-point performances, better than the 50 bombs he's put up in the regular season. He put up 46, which is the third most by any Celtic player in franchise history in an elimination game against the defending champs on the road against the 2-time MVP. This was Jason Tatum's statement to the league that this man is a certified superstar. And he could not have done it at a better time. When adversity hit, and whatever you want to say, right? Jason Tatum answered the call for the Celtics, and he was the man. There was a stretch. Giannis hit a 3 to tie this game up, or not tie this game up, to put the Celtics lead, which was 14 entering the fourth, down to 85-81, 4 points with 8:53. Tatum then went on to score the next 11 Celtics points. 11. He was incredible. When the Bucks came knocking in that fourth, and I sat there and I was watching this game and I was thinking to myself, this might go bad. After that block charge that was reversed to a block on Grant, which it was a charge on Giannis, Bucks got a momentum, Seamus, right? And it was Jason Tatum who stopped that single-handedly. Single-handedly, Jason Tatum stopped the Bucks' momentum and willed the Celtics to a 108-95 victory.
Jason Tatum, we have seen it from Jason Tatum over these past couple of years. This moment has been building up within Jason Tatum for the past couple of years in terms of, that the only thing that Jason Tatum can do to add to his legacy cannot be achieved in the regular season. His expectations lay way higher than the regular season, right? His expectations from now on is championship, even in the playoffs. We've seen him do it many, many times in the past, but not as quite the top guy, or with a lot of help beside him, rather. And yet now, still has a lot of help beside him. Of course, you need a lot of help beside you to win a championship team, but this man, Jason Tatum, is taking over in the most important moments and converting and dominating opponents. And in Game 5, would have been nice to see a little bit more of this in Game 5, but in Game 6 on the road in the biggest moment after you blow Game 5, this was a huge, huge game for Jason Tatum. Like you said, a legacy game, and one game that we will look back in history, even if we lose this series, and go, wow, Jason Tatum did that on the road against the reigning champions, against Giannis in that environment in Game 6 after they blew Game 5. Now, of course, we have to go back and win Game 7 at home, but this game in itself, you had to win this game first. And the team did a good job as a whole, and of course, Tatum did a good job himself, clearly, in this game and pulling it out down the stretch and showing up when the team needed him the most. Because we saw last game, offense went a little bit dry there in the fourth quarter, and tonight, that was certainly not the case at all down the stretch. It felt like every single possession when Jason Tatum touched the ball, we thought it was going in, or we knew it was going in. And most of the time, it did. And so Jason Tatum's performance tonight, I cannot believe that he has reached this level as a player. This is a clear top 10 player performance in the moment in the playoffs. I mean, you just look at the history behind it and the circumstances that lay at hand. Like I said in my first little spiel there, this could be for the championship. This series could be for the championship. Right now, if you look at every single team, these two teams feel like the two best teams. And so this series could be for the championship. And for Jason Tatum and the Celtics to have a performance like this in Game 6 and bring it to a Game 7, in which they, of course, have to win as well. But to do that tonight was absolutely incredible and a huge testament to the resiliency that they've been able to come up with the second half of the season after facing major, major adversity many, many times throughout the season. And, of course, now in the playoffs. So hats off to the Celtics. We still have to win in Game 7, but tonight is a nice to celebrate for the team because this is incredible.
Yes, Ian joins us live.
My God!
I tuned into the live stream a little bit, see how you were feeling, your reactions. Emotions were up and down in the chat and for yourself, Ian. Initial thoughts, reactions, comments on the Celtics' big win in Game 6.
Jason Tatum is him. I mean, we talk about this all the time. We talk about the best games. We talk about the best players. No, that was probably the best game I've ever seen Jason Tatum play. We watched him drop 60. We watched him drop 50 in the play-in game last year. We watched him drop 50 against the Nets last year. This game, Jason Tatum took over, and he pretty much just said, "Get out of my way. I don't care what I have to do. I am leading the Celtics to a Game 7." We're probably going to look back on it as that game where we knew Jason Tatum was that guy, and he's going to be that guy for the rest of his career. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not feel confident this entire game. I did not.
Well,
I was nervous the entire game. We went out to that lead in the first quarter. We came back and, we had a 15, I think we had an 18-point lead. Yeah, Milwaukee cut it down to 8, and I was sweating. I was sweating. It was not easy, but they pulled it out. You want to talk about another turnaround? Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
You want to talk about redemption? Oh my gosh. 21 points. He was automatic pretty much all night. Jaylen Brown turned it on late. Honestly, if we lose the series now, it's going to be at home, but what a way to get us to a Game 7. And, proving that, this core is this core. These guys are for real. They didn't just roll over. Giannis Antetokounmpo had probably one of the greatest NBA playoff performances of all time. 44 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists.
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest playoff performances of all time. And the Celtics still came out with the win. And that's just a testament to how much this team, how good this team really is. And it's just amazing to watch.
Yeah, and I think the thing that spoke to me this game was last game we saw the Bucks kind of make a very similar run, down 14 points in the fourth quarter. They came knocking. To me, what the difference tonight is that Jason Tatum.
I think you're frozen.
Oh shit, are we good?
Oh yeah, we're good. Sorry,
okay, no, you're good. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown came through in the clutch down the stretch, and that is what needs to happen. In the playoffs, the game slows down and your best players make the biggest plays. And we saw it from the Bucks out of Holiday and Giannis with those second chance points in those threes in Game 5. And it was Tatum and Brown tonight. Brown, out of the timeout, Tatum had going 11 straight, 8 straight for the Celtics, and they drew up a play, off-ball screen, top of the key 3, and Brown drilled it to extend the lead to 11. So it's stuff like that where I was coming into this game, and I thought, we're going to see 2 versions of Jason Tatum tonight. We're going to see a 45-plus bomb, 50. We're going to see a 15-point game in between. And I didn't know what we were going to get. He hasn't done this before. His real last, obviously the real playoff run was that 2018 year when he was rookie. It wasn't really the Jason Tatum show back then, it was the Boston Celtics show. So I had no expectations. I knew what we were going to see out of Giannis. I knew Giannis was going to give us 40. Because that's what big players do, but I thought to myself, I was like, what JT are we going to see? Is when the series is on the line and you're on the road down 3-2, is Tatum going to come through? Can he do that? And he did that. And he did just that. And he made every necessary play. He played through some contact. He got to the hoop. He was knocking down threes. And he just looked locked in from the jump. And when your best player is locked in like Jason Tatum was tonight, it's going to be tough to beat this Boston Celtics team. And like we said, our attention shifts to Sunday now, Game 7, in what could very much be winner of this goes on to the NBA Finals. Obviously, a tough series against Miami awaits both teams, but this looks like to be the two best teams in the East.
Hang on, one more thing before you go, Seamus. Let me tell you the breakdown of Tatum throughout the game. First quarter, 3 of 6. He hit 3 3-pointers. Second quarter, 4 of 10. That was his worst quarter of the game.
40%.
4 of 10.
Yeah.
5 of
40%.
9. 5 of 9, 12 points in the third quarter. And 5 of 7, 16 points in the fourth quarter. Absolutely.
That's legendary. That's legendary right there.
7 3-pointers. After he was shooting 30% in the series. 7 3-pointers. A plus 21. Just absolutely incredible. Absolutely.
That is pure superstar stuff right there. In this moment, I don't think we can't even soak in how big of a moment this is right now and how just the magnitude of this moment in Jason Tatum's career. He just dropped 46 points on the most ridiculous shooting efficiency that we've seen out of him all playoffs long in Game 6 on the road against the reigning champion Milwaukee Bucks and against Giannis Antetokounmpo, who scored 44 himself. Jason Tatum and Giannis, are those the two best players in the East right now? I think they have to be. I'm sorry, Joel Embiid.
Jimmy Butler, but I mean, Jimmy Butler outside of that, I mean, I don't know if you want
Joel
to put
Embiid
Butler
stay
over
healthy
Tatum,
for an entire playoff run. Maybe we'll talk, but Giannis and Tatum right now are on top. Like, these two guys could be top 5 players. Or Giannis is a top 5 player, he's a top 1 player. But Tatum, this is top 5 stuff right here. This is top 10 stuff at least, but this might be top 5 stuff. We're in the semifinals right now. We've seen so many series in the past be decided, or the finals rather, the finals in the past be decided by a semifinal series. We've seen so many championships decided by one series. You think of last year, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets. Whoever was winning that series was likely winning the NBA Finals last year. And the Bucks pulled that series out, and now we have a chance to go home and pull this series out on our home floor, where we've unfortunately lost twice already, and one of those we were not in it whatsoever. But the other game, we completely blew. And I think tonight, if we blew that game the other night, we probably end up going to a Game 7 anyway, because Milwaukee now has more to play for at their home court. And like I said, the mentality of it last game where it's, Boston, this was their Game 7 tonight, whereas Milwaukee, they have a fallback game if they lose, and of course they did. But this game was so legendary for Jason Tatum, and not only Jason Tatum, but all of the Celtics. They all stepped up tonight. I mean, you look at some guys, okay, Horford, a little bit below standards, but they were compromising him a bit. But you look at Derek White off the bench tonight. If I can just look at his number, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 of 9. He hit a lot of those. He hit most of those or all of those in the first half. And he made some pretty big plays in the second half. Marcus Smart, 21, 5, and 7. Marcus Smart, I thought he had a really good game last game, right up until the last minute of the game.
Oh, my God.
Right up until the last minute. But he responded tonight. Jaylen Brown as well, 22, 5, and 4, 7 of 16 from him. So all these guys that you expect to step up or needed to step up, even Daniel Tice in the first half there, he gave the Celtics a couple of good minutes. All of these guys in this moment, for them to step up the way they did, I mean, it's so impressive. It's just, I'm like a proud dad right now, because back in January, we thought we were heading for the lottery, and now we are forcing a Game 7 against the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah. Well,
at home.
I think you said it best, Seamus. This series was going 7 no matter what. And that's something we were alluding to the last post-game show, was that this series is going 7 games. We just knew it. These teams answer and respond too well for this series just not to end up 7, whether it's Milwaukee winning Game 5 in Game 4, or it's Boston winning Game 4, whatever combination it was, we kind of knew that this series was going to go 7 just based off of how well each team responds when adversity hits. Now, Boston is dealt with a tough hand here. They have to win 2 in straight, which no team has done yet. But something I want to mention, guys, is obviously Middleton's absence is up in the air for Game 7. He hasn't been officially ruled out. I wouldn't be shocked if they try to play him. I don't see it happening in just one day of rest. However, something I said after Game 2 or Game 3, I believe, was we haven't seen the effects of not having Chris Middleton just yet. We're going to see those later down the road. Tonight, Giannis had 44 out of the team's 95 points. Holiday, I believe, gave him 17. Let me just fact check myself real quick. It might be 19. Holiday gave him, Holiday gave him 17. I was correct. So between Holiday and Giannis, that's 61 points. Their 2 best players gave us 61. And after that, it's just the Celtics defense. It looks like right now they're perfectly fine with Giannis giving them 40 because it doesn't really look like anyone under Giannis and Holiday is going to really get them anything. And I think that if Middleton doesn't play Game 7, which I wouldn't be shocked if he did. I would be, I don't really know what his status is. It doesn't really seem like he's a surefire for 7 on either side of whether it's playing or not. But if the other guys for Milwaukee are going to play like this, I don't see there's a way. I don't see there's a single way for Milwaukee to win a Game 7. Giannis can't play much better. You can't play much better in a 48-minute basketball game than 44 points, 20 rebounds. I mean, you can maybe have 8 more, 52. You had 50 in the finals, maybe 6 more points. If you go to Boston, same goes for Boston, right? You can't really play offensively much better, but, Horford had 2 points. Grant had 2 points. Those are usually, right, a little bit more. So what we saw tonight, obviously Bobby Portis only had 4, Lopez only had 6, but my attention shifts to the best 3 players on each team, more specifically the best 1, right? We're going to see Tatum and Giannis go at it again, Game 7. I fully expect both of those guys to have 35 plus. It's going to fall back down to Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. If Brown and Smart can outplay what is Drew Holiday and who's their 3rd best player right now, Portis or Lopez?
Brook Lopez, Pat Connaughton was good tonight.
Connaughton's been great all year. So my point is here, though, is like, it's going to be tough for the Bucks with what they have. The fact that they even have extended this series to 7 to me is very impressive without Chris Middleton. Players have stepped up, but going into Game 7 at the Garden is a really tough ask for the Bucks. You want to talk about legacy games? This is a legacy game yet again for Giannis. If Giannis can go on the road that's some LeBron James stuff right there. LeBron James are the type of players to win Game 7s on the road in Boston. And if Giannis does that, he has, in my opinion, a rise as a top, I don't want to say anything, top 15 player of all time. I don't want to say anything like that, but, he's in that conversation. I think that's the magnitude of this game, and Seamus had it on the money. Like, this is what Miami hasn't gotten hit by either team, whether it's Milwaukee or Boston. I feel like is going to throw in games 1 and 2 a hard punch on Miami because they haven't felt the level of play that either of these teams come with in probably a month. I mean, who did they play? Round 1 was Atlanta. Round 2 was a hobbled Sixers team for 2 games. And then we know the Sixers track record is always the same. So Seamus, I think you have this on the money. This Game 7 is going to be, in my opinion, one of the biggest games non-NBA finals games we've had in years. This is Jason Tatum and Giannis. This is like Kevin Durant. I think I saw this on Instagram. Kevin Durant and LeBron James.
Posted it, yeah.
This is the magnitude of this game. It is who is going to the NBA finals. Knock on wood. But this is Jason Tatum, the 24-year-old superstar, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 26-year-old superstar, or 27. This is going to be insane, and both of these guys have to come out and have just all-time games.
Can we all agree that this is like the best second-round series of all time?
This is not. This has to be. This is an Eastern Conference Finals matchup.
This is an Eastern Conference Finals matchup, but can we agree? Like this is probably better than the Nets and the Bucks last year.
Yeah,
This is 100% better than that. Not
this
even
is
lying.
this both one team is going to go home too early. Probably one team is going home 2 rounds too early, in my opinion.
Honestly, both of these teams should be in the finals. It feels like.
Oh yeah. I mean, I right now, especially with how Phoenix has been playing. I mean, Dallas has been giving them some business. But
Golden
this feels like
State's-
the first and second best team in the NBA right now. The Bucks and the Celtics.
Yeah, and that's why this game 7, the magnitude of it is just huge, because we've seen it so many times in history. The finals can be decided in the semifinals. We go back. I think I sent you a list, Ian, of all the series. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I sent you a list of like all the series that have pretty much been the finals in the semifinals. It was a little bit ago. Might take me a second, but the Celtics and the Bucks, the way that they're going to respond in Game 7, they know the formula to beat the Celtics, and it's been the same trend almost every single game. It's win points in the paint, win the rebounding battle, try to create turnovers, and run in transition, and of course hit shots, all while doing that as well. And in Game 5, we saw in the second half the Bucks, their game plan was working on a higher level than the Celtics, because the Celtics' execution down the stretch was so poor, particularly offensively, when their offense completely stagnated. The film, if anybody wants to go back and watch the film for Game 5, which I would not recommend at this moment in time, you should be watching Game 6 film, but go to NBA.com, go to play-by-play. You can see every single play right there, and almost every single Celtics possession is the Celtics going one-on-one and essentially taking, it's either Tatum, Brown, Smart, whoever, Grant Williams, taking a highly contested fadeaway shot, whether it's from the mid-range or from the perimeter, and that's just not going to work. And if that happens in Game 7, the Celtics are going to be in trouble if they, of course, allow Milwaukee to completely dominate them in the paint. We've seen a couple of games this series where they've been able to slightly minimize that, where it's not anything like Game 1, where I think they were outscored by 30 in the paint, if I'm not mistaken, in Game 1. It might have been 20. But the Celtics, they have to rebound well. They have to minimize Milwaukee just a little bit, and, of course, stop the others, because we all know, you mentioned it, Rob, these other guys, they don't have a second star right now. They have Drew Holiday. He's a good second option, but is he in this series? He's up and down sometimes, Drew Holiday, as an isolation scorer, and a lot of his opportunities come off of driving attempts or kick-out attempts from, say, Giannis, driving the lane and kicking it out to open shooters. That's where a lot of his attempts come from. And when you ask him to do more on the offensive end in terms of creating shots, that's when things can get a little dicey, especially in a Game 7. After that, after Drew Holiday, we're talking about Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, Brooke Lopez, Wesley Matthews, guys like that, Grayson Allen, and we all know those guys aren't exactly the best guys to create shots. But I finally found the list here of series that were low-key final series before the finals. So 2000, Lakers-Blazers, they play the Western Conference Finals. Whoever wins that is likely going to win the title that year. Lakers-Kings in 2002, Western Conference Finals. Spurs-Mavericks, 2003, Western Conference Finals. 2004, Pistons-Pacers, Eastern Conference Finals. Everybody was so enamored with the Lakers that year, but the Pistons and Pacers were the best teams that year. 2007, Spurs-Suns, Western Conference Semifinals. 2014, Spurs versus Thunder, Western Conference Finals. Everybody, again, was so enamored with the Heat that year. However, Spurs and Thunder were the two best teams. 2018, Warriors-Rockets. We all know Western Conference Finals. That whoever won that series was likely beating Cleveland in the NBA Finals. And Bucks-Nets Eastern Conference Semifinals last year was, of course, a series that probably decided the finals later on. And so you have all these series in the past. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 series in the last really 21, 22 years that have been decided, or 8 finals that have seemingly been decided. The champion has been decided before the NBA Finals. And this year, I think it has the chance to be that again. I mean, we see the Phoenix Suns out west. They're having a little bit of trouble with Luka and the Mavs, and we'll see what happens in their Game 7 out west. But you look at the Warriors, definitely some questions around them. The Miami Heat, I actually think next round, talk about the Bucks and the Celtics throwing a punch. I almost worry about this series taking so much out of these two teams that Miami, coming off of rest and facing a Philly team that gave them no fight over their really 4 wins in that series. I mean, all 4 games were blowouts that they won. I almost worry that Miami is going to come out hot in that series, but then we'll see whoever comes out of the Bucks Celtics series move on later on. But this Bucks Celtics series, I still think it's going to be whoever wins this series is going to eventually find themselves in the NBA Finals and possibly with the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the year. And that's why this Game 7 is just so big right now. So big. I cannot believe we're in this moment right now.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Luckily, I'm going to that game on Sunday at 3:30, and I'm just hyped to be in the Garden. The Garden is going to be loud. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be, unbelievable atmosphere. However, this has done it for Celtics post-game live. Like I said, the Celtics came out with a 108-95 big-time Game 6 statement win against the Bucks on the road. Jason Tatum led all scorers with 46 points. Jaylen Brown, however, tagged along a nice 22, and Marcus Smart, a little redemption tour for a horrific end to Game 5 from Smart with 21. The Celtics go and tie this series at 3 games apiece, 108-95 win. We will have you back here live after the final buzzer sounds of Game 7, either really happy or really sad and depressed, as what could potentially be our last post-game show, but it won't be our last. Go check out all of our social media links down in the description down below. Go do all that good stuff. Tip off 3:30 on TNTA this time, I believe. So yeah, other than that, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you guys after a big Game 7 Celtic win.